Back to another episode of DePIN State presented by Gold Hawks. I'm your host, Nick Hawks. On today's episode, we have Claudia Rochot, one of the co-founders at Banyan Computer. This episode is sponsored by Gold Hawks & Associates, the most experienced DePIN consultancy in the space. We help projects develop strategy, messaging, and token incentives. We'll have a little bit more on us later in the show. Before we get started, make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell, all the big, great things, and that helps us bring great guests like Claudia to you. Claudia, thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
I'm pumped. And I guess I'm super pumped because not only are we doing this show right before ETHDenver, but I'm going to get to see you at ETHDenver in about a week. So
yeah,
we're
bringing 4 people. We're super hyped.
Right. That's rad. So for folks who don't know who you are, let's start with that. And then we'll go to Banyan Computer. But we'll start off with who are you?
I'm the founder of Banyan. But yeah, I don't know. I'm Claudia. I've been in and around the space for several years now. I think my first full-time employment here I was a cryptography auditor at Trail of Bits. I was in college, went back to school for a bit after that, and then it was DeFi summer, so I couldn't resist. Came in freelance, did a lot of security auditing and development work. I then settled down at Protocol Labs and did some work on Filecoin and spun my own thing out 2 years ago now for helping the data onboarding situation to Filecoin.
Right on. And I've listened to a couple of interviews with you. You've got some pretty serious nerd chops. So it's not like you're just coming in like, oh, this looks kind of cool. Like it really seems like you know what you're talking about. So tell me a little bit more about how you got to where you are with Banyan right now, and then we'll talk about what Banyan is.
Yeah, so I've always really cared about decentralized cloud stuff. I've always thought that it was really important. I don't think that AWS having a monopoly on cloud services, or AWS and other very large companies with similar incentives, just like AWS, I don't think that they should have a monopoly on the cloud, because, if you want to stand up a service, most dev talent knows how to stand up a cloud thing, not let's plug a box into the wall, hook it up to the internet, run Nginx, blah, 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 blah. So if you want to be running services, if you want to have that democratic freedom to spin something up and just run a service, you generally have to use AWS. And I think that an arbitrary tech giant being not even necessarily censorship, but end of lifing products, jacking up prices, whatever, shouldn't be in sole control of that piece of infrastructure. I want the internet to stay free and open and not contained by any given entity. So I was at Filecoin. I like their mission a lot, obviously. I thought that there was a lot really promising there, but I kept seeing my founder friends having trouble getting data onto Filecoin and having trouble using it. And these were Web3 founders who were willing to go through a decent amount of pain to use decentralized infrastructure. And they were still, they were having trouble. They were dropping off sometimes. So I saw the opportunity. We raised money. We've been building for about 2 years.
You did the things and you built Banyan. So for folks that don't know, I used to, now this is 20-some years ago, I used to drink at a club called the Banyan Tree in Japan, in another lifetime. So I had a good idea of what a banyan was, but let's maybe talk about what a banyan tree is and then why you guys called this thing Banyan Computer.
Yeah, so it's actually kind of a stupid story. I lived in Okinawa, Japan as a military brat when I was
You may also have been to the Banyan Tree then.
I don't think I was clubbing. But
you were clubbing then, okay, fair enough.
But there is a banyan tree that was in my front yard that it's in my neighborhood would climb and play in and make little clubs in. And so I came up with a lot of very goofy names for my startup. And then I was an engineer who had never run a company before. I was really intimidated by a lot of this stuff. So I was like, I think VCs like respectability because they're really institutional, right? Not really in crypto, but
sure.
I thought they would like a tree because I thought that a tree sounded very serious and professional. And so I picked Banyan, and the Banyan tree is the tree that the Buddha got enlightenment over. And it's also a really great tree that is very fun to climb. And that's about it. And then .computer sounded cool. We may not keep this name when we're selling into Web 2, but it's going to stay our identity in Web 3.
Cool.
Forever.
Super cool. I thought the rad part about it too is that the banyan tree's roots allow it to grow out indefinitely, so it can be this giant thing, which is hopefully what you guys end up being is another really big alternative to some of the really big centralized alternatives that are out there. So
we should start saying that instead of my story.
Yeah,
that's way cooler.
You can do it. You can do it both ways. Let's see. So let's talk a little bit then about what a DePIN is and how you define a DePIN, because this is a hot topic right now, is that everybody wants to just slap DePIN on what they're doing. Is let's talk first about what you define as a DePIN, and then we'll talk about how Banyan might be a DePIN.
Probably a network with semi-specialized hardware that needs to be geographically distributed, does tasks at those locations, pretty permissionless networks. Yeah. And
Okay, cool. And then I guess it's pretty obvious, but how does Banyan fit into that? Or what is the kind of meld that you see there that's really clear for you? It's like, oh yeah, Banyan Computer is a DePIN.
Banyan is not necessarily a DePIN. We sell to a lot of DePINs.
Cool. So how does Banyan support DePINs?
Yeah, so we make file storage easy for them. We have this file system that a lot of the different DePINs that we talk to, especially the decentralized compute ones, they need to manage files in generally a content addressed, pretty trustless way. They often want, encryption or encryption that supports some kind of like peer-to-peer identity-based model, where you have keys attached to identities. Yeah, so we have this like file system format that enables them to talk peer-to-peer if they need to, and then also back the data up to Filecoin and mostly trustlessly retrieve it. We try to cut our role in the entire transaction down to being more or less an SLA provider. We do more than that. We also handle the billing, it's in fiat. But as far as DePINs care, we can be a pretty trustless way to abstract, put file to peer, get file back, put file to cloud, get file back, stream file to different locations. That's kind of where we're headed in the DePIN space. For a lot of our sales in Web 2, we're really just a cloud storage solution. But when we talk to DePIN networks, it's so exciting for me because we really get to leverage the full P2P potential of our technology. And yeah, like help them get data onto Filecoin, help them serve hot data, and help their nodes like trustlessly and safely talk to each other.
Super cool. Love it. Let's take a quick break to talk about today's sponsor, GoldHawks & Associates. We're a DePIN consultancy which helps projects with strategy, messaging, and token incentives. We run a blog at goldandhawks.com, produce this show, and most importantly, work with the core teams and communities of your favorite DePIN projects in the space to ensure tokenomics and incentives are fully aligned to build out some of the most badass physical infrastructure networks in the world. If your project needs help in any of these, check out goldandhawks.com. Claudia, I mean, one thing that we're both excited about is heading off to ETHDenver next week. Which this show will push out tomorrow, the next day. So it will be next week. What are you pretty excited to see at ETHDenver when you're going there?
I'm really excited to meet other DePIN founders and talk to other people who are doing decentralized compute. We've got a couple of decentralized compute partnerships that we've already got going on. We've been talking to a lot of DePINs. We've been planning to onboard them pretty soon. But yeah, we're really looking for like that winner decentralized compute protocol that has the right interface for devs. And I think there are a couple candidates I would like to see the entire market. So I'm excited to just see what people have built, especially with this new AI rush. So yeah, if you're a founder building a protocol like that, call me up. We would love to store your data for very, very cheaply, very securely. Yeah, what else? I don't know. There's a lot of exciting Filecoin developments that have come out recently. And so I'm really excited to connect with the community about that.
It's nice that you're a bridge between these kind of two worlds where it's like the hardcore infrastructure, like how does the data actually get processed, stored, served, sent, all this stuff. And there's a bunch of folks in the DePIN space who are not on that side. And they're just like, look, I just want to plug in my miner and do my thing and let the thing make tokens. Is there a way for those normal miners to participate, or is Banyan like solely for just the back end of things? Is there something that I can plug in? Can I plug in a Banyan computer in my little, server closet at home and contribute? Or is this only kind of back end stuff that you're using?
Yeah, well, no, you actually can. So a big side of our business, and this is the aspect in which we kind of are more DePIN, is we're only working with Filecoin SPs that have like relatively mature operations, because our node that actually does the data storage service, it runs next to their Filecoin node and adds a bunch of services for the hot storage and monitoring and telemetry and latency and all this stuff, adds that onto the side of it. Which is what, makes Filecoin very, very usable for our users. So if you're a Filecoin storage provider, you should reach out to us. If you are running a pretty big disk array, we could probably we haven't talked to anyone who's not a Filecoin miner yet, but we could probably onboard you without you necessarily having to mine Filecoin just for like our hot tier of data.
Mhm.
So if that's you and you're interested in being one of our beta testers, you should call me up.
Super cool.
Yeah. So if you have about a half a rack of disks, like I don't know, maybe 1 to 2 petabytes of capacity, you could probably earn a Banyan. So yeah,
That's a lot of
you should reach out
petabytes.
to the team.
I've been looking at
It
terabytes and
is.
thinking it's big. That's
It's the size of an end table. It's okay. It's not too bad.
Right on. And then for people who want to know more about Banyan Computer, where's the best place to find your catch up or reach out and let you know they've got an end top or an end desktop that you can use?
Yeah, I would just sign up on our website for now. Everyone who signs up, the team is actually going to individually reach out to.
Okay.
We're expecting to get overwhelmed at ETHDenver because we are coming out of stealth right now. We will have a Discord up pretty soon, and we'll blast that out to the email list once it's like properly set up, and then the team will also be in there to answer questions.
Cool. Super exciting to get you to come on DePIN State and talk a little bit about this. It's neat to see these kind of projects springing up that make sure they help the DePIN ecosystem really expand. Claudia, I really appreciate your time. Thanks a ton for coming on today. I know you're super busy. Always rad to hear straight from the founder's mouth.
Yeah, thank you.